Chapter 10. After thinking about it for a while, I had this strange feeling of confusion, watching a painting that could move, as a job. I knew how weird it sounds when I say it out loud. From all that I could remember, I was led to a tent where 3 women were asking me questions. Not just any tent, a huge one, with wheels. All the tents which surrounded this yellow one looked worn out. The ropes creaked as if they were adjusting to the weight of the tent itself. Inside the tent, the fabric ceiling was a bright blue. The tent smelled strange. Now that I think about it, not bad, just layered. Old incense clinging to the canvas, the sweetness of something herbal, and beneath it, all the faint metallic scent of wet stone. 3 women sat opposite me. I felt quite confused at the time, but the questions were very specific. The other 2 women didn't speak at first. They sat perfectly still, hands folded on their laps, blue veils hiding everything except the occasional movement of their shoulders when they breathed. But after the initial, "What color is the sky?" question, they started to ask me in rapid succession. Each time I answered, they made tiny humming sounds. They asked me dozens, maybe hundreds of questions. Questions about strange moments in my life, odd dreams, things I'd seen in the corners of my vision and tried to ignore. The one I was corresponding with later on through those letters was called Zavansha, which means little swan in Dutch. I had not heard that name in a long time. Maybe someone's grandmother still had that name, but it was not a common one. It felt almost ceremonial. Zavansha had always been on the forefront of what I could remember. She smiled with her mouth closed, like the held secrets behind those teeth. I had never seen her eyes because those women were all veiled with thick blue fabric that covered half of their face. They wore necklaces from big golden square shackles. The metal had dents and scratches, like it had lived several lives before this one. "I think you are the one we are looking for," Zavansha told me. Something about their posture made me feel like I had just passed a test I never asked to take. The gold shackles around their neck clinked together when she moved. She leaned forward slightly, veil shifting, and for a moment I imagined I could see the faint outlines of her eyes behind the fabric. The tent grew quieter after she spoke. Even the strange drifting air settled. The 2 silent women bowed their heads, just enough to acknowledge something I wasn't privy to. The next thing I remembered was that I was here, in the dark walls of this building. No slow transition, no memory of walking inside. I woke up on the floor of a narrow hallway with a candle beside me, already lit, as if someone had prepared the scene for me. To be fair, the first few days here were still foggy in my head. I just knew that the building was strange to me. I did not know the purpose of the rooms. I wondered what the candle held against my chest, moving from room to room, expecting at any second to bump into someone who'd explain why I was here or what I was supposed to do. The carpets muffled my steps so completely that even my own movement felt unreal. I first found the resting room, with its awful food and drinks, and then I found the room with the first painting. Some of my memories flooded in, but I still did not know what to do. I tried to find the outside in the meantime. I had no idea what the outside actually looked like. I did not get a letter for a while. On what I think was the 4th day, I found the first letter. It lay on the table in front of the painting. The crisp and clean blue paper was almost glowing in the candlelight. I didn't remember hearing footsteps. I didn't remember anyone sliding it under a door. It was simply there. "Dear Maria," it read, "we have not heard from you for a while, and it might be because you had to acclimate to the new situation. We implore you to start your new tasks as soon as possible. The main task we ask of you is to monitor the painting and tell us when the character is moving. By the yellow sun, we believe in you. And after that, whenever I did something they thought was wrong, I got one of those blue paper letters. Vivantia was the only one who wrote to me. The way of the writing looked like it was her style anyway. I started writing letters back, questions, pleas for clarification, anything to understand how I ended up here. At first, I tucked them under doors or left them on tables. Nothing happened. Then one day, without thinking, I looked away from a letter I had just written, and when I glanced back, it was gone. I was expecting a response soon. I had written down some questions on a piece of paper while I was waiting for Alvina to return. I took another look at the painting. Leo, the goat thing, was sitting in front of the house. He had his back turned to me. The wind in the painting was blowing with such frenzy that the trees were bent low. Leo's hair was swooping around his head. Everything inside it felt turbulent, as if the whole scene were bracing for something. One of the questions I had asked in the letter was, I can see a shadow inside the house near the window. Do I need to watch that too? That shadow was not human. Chapter 11. I blinked the heaviness from my eyes. I had been taken outside. Before I knew it, the dark walls had disappeared, and I was looked over by the three veiled women. My eyes had to adjust to the bright light in the very blue ceiling. The brightness slammed into me, and I was frozen in place. It almost felt like I was waking up by how much my head spun. Voices swarmed around me, soft ones, whispering, but not words I could catch. I was propped up on a sofa with many cushions. It was so comfortable. It was impossible to get up. When my eyes focused again, I saw the three women, all wearing the blue veils. They sat around me and could not stop touching me, which was a weird feeling after being alone for such a long time. My memory from 1 second to the next felt slippery, unreliable. One of them rubbed my arms, another my legs, and the one I knew as Vivantia kept touching my face. After days without so much as a brush of fabric against my cheek, the sensation hit like static. I tried to turn my head from Vivantia's hands, but she followed the movement, her fingers pressing into my cheeks, shaping my face as if trying to match it to a remembered image. All three were firing questions at me. Where was the shadow? One of them asked. Her sharp tones startled me. In the house, I murmured, my face being squished between two hands. The slim fingers felt like sandpaper, rough and scratchy. Which direction is he now? Another one asked sharply. I did not understand the question. I blinked at her. Direction? I echoed. They did not like that answer. I could tell from the way their hands paused. I waved my hand weakly. It felt weird. Which direction should we look for him? Her voice sounded impatient. Unlike the other two, the questioner had stopped rubbing my legs. He's in the house. The direction of the house? My voice sounded weird, a bit slurred. But I was too occupied with trying to get the rest of them to stop touching me. I tried to swat their hands away, which did nothing. They only grabbed my arm tighter. Stop touching me, please, I pleaded. I felt really tired all of a sudden. My words felt wrong, as if I were hearing myself from another room entirely. Give her some stew, one of them said. We need to consider several options. The shortest of the three, who had been rubbing my arms, jumped up and went outside and came back within seconds. After what seemed a few moments, another figure came into the room, moving with a quiet, deliberate grace. She was wearing green robes, while her blue hair was twisted into horn-like spirals. She carried a tray with plates and small glass cups. She looked very familiar, but before I could zoom in on her, she was dismissed with a single flick of Vivantia's finger. Vivantia took a piece of bread from the tray and pressed it against my lips. By the power of Clued, this bread will heal you. She was feeding me bread and meat and forced salty fruit juice down my throat, while the others hovered close and kept asking questions. Their hands kept working over my arms and shoulders, rubbing in steady circular patterns, as if performing some blessing or coaxing truth out of my skin. But which direction do we need to travel to? The tallest one asked. Her voice sounded further away than she looked. I tried to think clearly. They think I know things, I thought. Why would I know the answer to such a vague question? I shook my head. The movement felt slow, thick, and syrupy. My eyes were heavy. Why am I so tired? The women were talking through each other, and rubbing was annoying me. They kept glancing upward toward the bright blue ceiling, murmuring tiny prayers under their breath. Go north, I said, feeling exhausted. My voice cracked on the last word, thickened by exhaustion. By the yellow sun, north it is, the tallest of the three said. Her hand flew to the golden shackles around her throat. The others mirrored her, touching their necklaces with reverence. I closed my eyes. The light was slowly fading as my mind drifted away. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying on the floor of the resting room. The dark stone, the walls were all back. The fatigue was gone as it had never existed. I stood up. The candle was waiting for me on the table, and I took it to the room with the painting. I saw that Alvina was back. She was petting Leo on the head. Both were standing by the little wooden house. She looked out, not meeting my gaze, no matter how I tried. Glad to have you back, I said. The wind picked up, and a voice not louder than a whisper came through. The girl's name is not Alvina. I looked around me, but there was no one. The room was empty, and the shrieking of the wind took over all sound. Chapter 12. The wind was shrieking so loudly I feared I was going deaf. The wind was blowing all around me like the storm I had moved inside. It created chaos in the room, but I kept my eyes on the painting. The hairs on my arms stood up as a familiar scent filled my nostrils. It lit up some hidden memories. I sniffed a bit further. The wind had brought in the smell of dead grass, dust, and seawater. The smell filled the room like smoke. It made me gag, but I could not move. Part of the girl was still in the painting, and what it was that kept me glued there was not letting me go. The painted blue grass was darkly discolored in some places. The house looked more slanted. The dark windows were broken. Leo the goat thing was nowhere to be found, and the trees stood still. No wind moved them. They stood there like nothing had happened, and nothing would happen in that place of the woods. My eyes were still stuck to the painting, but I noticed something different. A piece of soft pink paper with dark, beautiful handwriting. It looked like a scrap of a page that the Arteminian had thrown to my head before, but now it was painted, stuck behind a pole. It was too small to read what was written, but I could see an illustration at the bottom. I moved in closer, trying to see if I could distinguish the figure. But dust flew into my eye, and I had to look away. I quickly cleared my eyes, but the page was gone, vanished from the painting. Something pink laid on the table before me. One of the same papers of the book the Arteminian had destroyed, I guessed. I took a quick glance at what was written. Looking back and forth to the painting, I managed to read what was written. Screamers are found in rural areas. These demons are thought to represent rabies and usually manifest to people who are infected with the disease as canine or bear-like creatures with foam around their mouths. To non-infected people, these creatures are mostly invisible. They leave footprints in the mud. They move around in vicious packs and are often confused for hellhounds, chasing down the souls of the damned when they are pursuing rabies victims. Very little else is known about them. They often follow the bellman, who is invisible itself. The bellman again. I could not stand that little bell. The storm subsided slowly, and when I turned my head for a moment, the room looked like nothing had happened. Only a few papers were strewn about the room. I noticed the candle was slinking fast. Maybe I could move away when the room was dark again. The flames sputtered and died. I was blind but relieved I did not have to see that anymore. I stepped away from the painting, carefully monitoring my breath. Every step I could take, I would feel my own body. I was 20 steps out of the door and slowly made my way to the resting room. Sound did not come from outside. I moved a bit faster. The carpeted floor muffled my steps. A low growl came from behind an unseen corner. I began to run, my one hand on the stones to have a semblance of direction. I needed to pass one hallway crossing, and the resting room would be on my left side. I found the wooden door, and I tried to open it, my hands fumbling to get to the handle. The growl grew louder. The sound of metal grew closer. I found the door handle pulled hard and through the new opening. When I pushed my body through the hole, I pushed the door closed again. I saw two glimmering eyes looking at me from the dark. A few moments, the sound of metal chain moving over the floor was too far away to hear anyone. That horned beast was not the bellman. 2 candles ago, I noticed something. Whenever I saw the shadow appear, I would feel a heavy dread. The feeling snuck up on me, crawled all over my skin until it was the only thing I could clearly feel. But more importantly, if I would say anything about the shadow, they would rush me out of the building. The women would be praying over me until I gave them an answer. Even a slight hint would make them freak out, and I was led away, whether the person was still in the painting or not. Those 3 veiled women were ever present when I was out of the building. Sometimes I saw other people, but they were whispering and avoided eye contact. The woman with the blue hair, who looked so very familiar, always smiled at me, would bring the food. It was strange because she was quite clumsy. Often she would stumble and all the food would fall on the floor and the bottles would break before they reached the tent. She lingered around every now and then. It looked like she wanted to tell me something, but the 3 veiled women never left my side, constantly prodding me with fingers and questions. There were times I woke up suddenly, Zavancha next to me, her thin lips forming a disapproving line, and when they noticed I was awake, the questions started again. Where was he? Where did he go? By the blue sky, how close are we to the end? Only when they were satisfied I was brought back to the building. I would be put in front of the painting. This painting I was looking at, quite big and different from the other ones, where previous paintings were largely a background where a figure could appear in. This was a portrait of an important looking man. Only a red curtain behind him formed the background. No windows, no landscape to be seen. The man looked stern, his mustache prominent, but not as impressive as his belly. His shirt was adorned with silver and pearls. He wore a dark gray coat, and on his head he wore a dark green cap. He had not moved yet. The candle shone on the detailed hands. He held part of the curtain in his left hand, while the right hand was resting on his hip. A thin knife was hanging from his belt. Whoever painted this was really into details. I sighed. Well, pleased to meet you, sir, I said softly. I did not agree with the rules they had put on me. Nothing ever happened when I talked. I continued. Just tell me when you're bored. There's not much to do in there. I might find something interesting to keep you busy. I chuckled. and frowned when I realized what I said. His expression did not change. Why would it? It was just a painting. I should not get attached to any of them. Some stories don't ask to be remembered. They wait. If you're still here, it's already too late. This has been Diamonds After Dark. See you next time.